Welcome back. Today is Project Sunday, and I have a very easy and inexpensive project for you today because I just made a Christmas present for a friend, and I'm going to show you how I did it. So, when we come back. Well, Audie has jumped out of my lap, so we're not going to see the tail, but I'm sure we're going to hear the bells because he hasn't settled down yet, so he'll be jingling his way around. And I suppose that Audie and his little jingle bells are very appropriate for this because it is a video about making a Christmas present. But first, in yesterday's video, I said I was going to explain about my sewing machine coffin, and I didn't. It wasn't just that I forgot, which I did, but when I took a look at the video, it was 40 minutes, so it was too long to come back and do an add-on. So we're going to talk about that today before we get started with the Christmas present. Okay. My computer situation is getting out of control. I use sewing machine coffins, and I have two of them, and they're very nice, and they sit at each of my desks, and all the computer cords and stuff get shoved into a little box. It's just one of those free boxes you get from the post office, crammed full of routers and modems and surge protectors and whatnot, stuck on the floor with a sewing machine coffin over them, so at least it's not as hideous looking as a little USPS mailing box full of junk. And things finally started to get out of hand, and I had to deal with that this morning because I'm back to two computers again. The computer I use to edit these videos is separate from the computer that I like to use for everyday things. The computer I like to use for everyday things is old, and it's not powerful enough, and it's not fast enough. You need something fairly powerful and fairly fast if you're going to edit videos and upload them and whatnot. So, hey, I really ought to feel like some techno whiz sitting here rocking two computers and la la la. I don't. I feel like a bag lady when I look down at the mess. So, first let me show you what my vision of my mess under the desk looks like. Okay, well, that's what it looked like before I started cleaning it. I got it cleaned up. It's still terrible. So here's what it looks like cleaned. Yeah. An improvement, believe me, an improvement. Oh, by the way, that first picture was the Swedish telephone exchange out of Stockholm in, I think, the 1930s. It really was pretty much that bad. Got it sort of semi-cleaned up. I got to figure out a better way of dealing with this. I guess that's kind of the bottom line. So let's get on to happier stuff. The Christmas present. So, since most of you seem to like the way I did the video when we worked on the carpet, let's take a look at the whole process first. As you can see, I'm giving my friend some plants. Now, let me start with the plants, because that was the first step. Long before I got the planter, I began stealing plants from people. Well, it's not really stealing. I had permission. My doctor's office and Bedford Antiques both had some really beautiful coleus out in their planters. And my neighbor and I both share this common feature in our yards, which is we have some areas of deep shade where nothing will grow. Coleus will grow in deep shade. So I took clippings from these beautiful coleus, and I began about 2 months ago. Just snap off a clipping. And as I say, I had permission. I really didn't steal. It kind of felt that way at the time when I was just, sneaking around, grabbing cuttings off their plants. Coleus are really easy. You take a cutting and you can break it off. It will break cleanly. And they have square stems, makes everything nice. And you start stripping the stems. I like to have a good 3 to 4 inches of leaf-free stems. Stick it in water and wait for the roots to grow. Now, that's what I did, started a couple of months ago. The last time I was at Bedford, I got a really pretty Mexican plant pot. I think I said I paid $3 for it, but I think in reality it was only $2. Very inexpensive, very pretty. And as I mentioned in another video, we're taking a trip in the Wayback Machine now. This is probably about a year ago when we talked about country decor, that a couple of my friends have their homes done in that American country style. I think it's very beautiful. It's not me, but boy, do they do a great job with it. And Jane is one of those friends who does this wonderful country decor. Now, the thing with country decor is ordinarily the color palette is red, white, and blue. It's almost always red, white, and blue. Red and white sometimes, blue is the accent color, blue and red sometimes, white is the accent color. It really has a very patriotic theme to it. So this plant pot, which is blue and white with a little bit of green and some dark sort of blood red striping on it, perfect. Also, the style, these splashy painted flowers, very compatible with American country. So this is perfect for Jane. So first thing I did was I took the pot, cleaned it up, and then filled it with good quality potting soil. A pot full of dirt, bring it in the house, and just saturate it with water. I tend to use lukewarm water. I think that soaks into the dirt a little more easily than cold water. And I don't want to use cold water or hot water once plants are in there because I don't want to shock them. So once the dirt is saturated, I bring it back outside, and then I get my chopstick, which is my favorite planting tool, because you stick that in there and that makes your hole. Now, you saw what the plants looked like when I pulled them out of the cup of water. At that point, I had, I believe, 5 cuttings in that cup of water, and this giant mass of a lot of really good healthy roots. So then I had to separate the plants, tease the roots apart. The easiest way to do that is fill a sink full of warm water, dump the plants in there, and sort of swish them around. The water helps separate the roots because you want to separate them without tearing them. So, next thing you see is my plants laid out. 4 of them had rooted really nicely. The 5th one had not. The 5th one's going back into the cup of water. That's going to stay. I took 3 of these plants for Jane's pot. I had thought about 4, but 4 was going to overcrowd it. And this is 2 different varieties of coleus. They're both very nice. So stick my chopstick in to make the hole, and then you just stick your plant in, get the roots in there, and cover it up with the soil. Tamp it down a little. Once all three were in there, tamp it down, back into the house, soak it full of water again. And now it's, well, no, I was going to say now it's sitting outside. No, now it's sitting right next to me, because this is what the plant looks like. Now, when I was laying this out, the first thing I wanted to do, and I neglected to mention this, I wanted to choose a front and a back. I chose this side as the front. I looked at it several times from several different angles, and I liked this a little better as the front than this. And I really don't know why. It just appealed to me a little more. And the reason that's important when you are putting a plant in is because not all plant arrangements, here's our plant arrangement looking at it from the front. Here it is looking at it from the back. So, more attractive sides are toward the front. This is going over to Jane. Jane is going to take that, put it in her sunroom, overwinter it, and then it's either going to go outside on her patio, as it is. That's fine. Jane has a green thumb. I trust her to do right by her plants. Or she'll remove the plants and tuck them into her garden in various spots. She'll have a little pot. She will create some delightful little arrangement. She always does. I'm so envious of her. She can actually look at 3 or 4 plants and just shove them in a pot, and stunning. I can't do that. So this is Jane's early Christmas present. The plants cost me nothing. They were just clippings from coleus that were in literally on the public street, because these are plants that Bedford Antiques puts out in front of their building. My doctor's office does the same thing. So they're just plants that are out there for the general enjoyment of the public. It did, however, take an investment of time, because I had to gather up my plants, stick them in the water, make sure that, that water level stayed high, make sure they developed their roots, so on and so forth. And that was several weeks. Nevertheless, no investment of money. The investment of time was minimal. It's the amount of time it takes you to snap the end off a plant, strip off some leaves, and stick it in a cup of water, and then the amount of time it takes you every couple of days to go check and say, oh, I need to put more water in this. That's all that's involved. The planter, as you know, because I showed you the video when I bought it, that was, I think, $2. As I said, I believe I said it was $3, but in fact it was $2. I did say that in the film when I was at Bedford. That's all it is. This is going to be a great little gift, especially for a plant lover who has her home decorated in the same colors and the same general style of the planter. And as I say, she's going to know what to do with these. She'll probably winter them over indoors, because coleus will die in the winter. They're an annual, not a perennial. She'll winter them over and pop them in her yard, pop the pot out on her patio table, whatever. Good gift for a plant lover. Virtually no financial investment in this, whatever the planter cost. I find planters all the time for anywhere from $1 or $2 up to maybe about $10 is about the most I've seen for any planter. And usually when they're $10, they are a specific style, Art Deco, mid-century, whatever. What could be easier? So in a gift like this, the investment is not money. It's not even really time. It's the thought. Picking the plants that I thought she would like, nursing them along, putting them in a pot, bringing it to her house. That's what it's all about. I wholeheartedly recommend doing things like this for people on your lists that are hard to buy for, because in general, people appreciate gifts they know you thought about. And sometimes, especially when you're dealing with people who are over 50, they have absolutely everything they want and need already. So what do you get them? You know, something that comes from your heart. All right, let me show you the whole video now that you know what it was I did and you've seen the final product. Okay, so in addition to Jane having a present, I'm going to announce our giveaway, and this is the giveaway, Colleen's Tidbit tray. Let's take a look. Now, that beautiful Tidbit tray was created by Colleen Staver, and it's just, that is just Halloween Central. And Colleen happens to love Halloween, so this was a really good Tidbit tray for her. But since we're talking about giveaways, that giveaway, all I want you to do to qualify for that giveaway is, subscribe to the channel, like the video, that's the usual boilerplate stuff. Leave me a comment, just say Happy Halloween to Colleen. So, Happy Halloween, Colleen, and I'll enter you for our terrific little Halloween Tidbit tray. But we're not done there. When I was at Bedford, I picked up a few other things. This is, these are plates from China, nice holly design. I ended up getting a set of these. I am going to make Christmas Tidbit trays. I have little matching toppers because I found salt and pepper shakers that are very compatible. I have the Sumi Christmas boxes because, let's face it, it's not hoarding if you keep it in a pretty box. This is going to be a topper for another one of the trays. It's a really nice match, too. And this topper, which I have been saving, this is a Japan salt and pepper shaker, and it says Santa's Workshop North Pole, New York. I don't know why they think the North Pole is in New York, but this is, in fact, Santa's workshop, which is going on top of one of the other trays. I am sending those 4 Tidbit trays, so 2 of them are going to be the same. These are left in shakers, by the way. One is going to have our It's Not Hoarding If It's in a Pretty Box. The other is going to have Santa's Workshop, so it'll be 4. I'm sending those over to Colleen and Lisa at the Facebook group that they have going. It's called Sue's Angels. I love that. That means I get to be Charlie. What a job is that? You know, I especially like the fact that I don't have to do anything. So I'm sending this over to Colleen and Lisa, and they are going to choose 4 winners, however they choose to do it. And that is my Christmas present to you. I very much wish I could reach out and give each of you a Christmas present. But there are 33,000 of you, and I'd be willing to bet that not all of you celebrate Christmas. So anyway, here's the thing. Just definitely go over to Facebook. Check out that group. It's Sue's Angels. That's where you're going to go in. And I'm going to let Lisa and Colleen and the rest of them, and there are others involved in the running of this group. I'm going to let them decide how they want to distribute these trays. However they want to do it is fine with me, but please do go check it out. Do go enter the giveaway, whatever it is they're going to set up, because I absolutely want you guys to have a Christmas present. Thank you for being with me for this year. And so this is it. It will be a series of Tidbit trays. And this, I will never make these trays again. When this is done, they are done. And if I decide I'm going to do something else next year, it is not going to be Holly Christmas tray or Holly Christmas Tidbit trays. It'll be something completely different, because I want this to be a unique gift for Christmas 2020. Maybe I will get some blue and silver plates and make Hanukkah trays. I think I'd really like that. Anyway, thank you all so much for being with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this project, and keep in mind, it doesn't have to be coleus. That's just what I had available to me, like literally in the public streets. So you could go to Walmart and get a little plant or little orchids or whatever. But do not underestimate the value of giving something from your heart, something that says, I worked on this. And that's what this is all about, from me to Jane. Oh, P.S. In that little slideshow, I had a little Chinese pot in the picture, and it had a couple of little sprouts in it. Those sprouts are pine trees that came from Jane's yard. Now, I have 3 other pine trees that started out like little sprouts like that in my yard that came from Jane's yard. 2 of them are over 7 feet tall. So those little pine trees in that little Chinese pot are eventually going to be just taking over my yard. All right. Have a great day. Let's take a look at our beautiful horizon pictures. Oh, and JLS says she took them with her cell phone. So for those of you who are thinking about doing YouTube videos, thinking my cell phone won't be enough, well, gee, if she could do that with her cell phone, I guess we can do whatever we need to with ours. All right, have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow.